Very good afternoon to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC News Break. Prime Minister Frundell Stewart believes the position of the opposition leader is under threat. He says that's the real reason the Barbados Labour Party announced last week it intends to file a no-confidence motion against the government early this week. Prime Minister Stewart made the observation while addressing the Democratic Labour Party's St. Michael South Branch meeting last evening. He says the BLP's move is really about dealing with dissent within its ranks and protecting its leader Mia Motley's fragile political fortunes.
It has very little to do with us. That is really a no-confidence motion being brought to shore up the fortunes of the leader of the opposition, the leader of the Barbados Labour Party. That's what it's about. Her opponents in the parliamentary group are being challenged to vote other than she wants them to vote, because if they do that, there will be a carnival of expulsions.
The Prime Minister suggests this is being done now because Ms. Motley will no longer be chairman of the BLP after the party's upcoming conference.
Since she cannot stand for re-election because they have term limits in that regard, she is not going to be chairman of the party when the party is going to general election. And she fears that whoever takes over the party in October this year may reverse much of what she has already done, including getting rid of Maria Eargard.
A government minister is not at all convinced the parliament should be occupied in dealing with the motion of no confidence brought against the government by the BLP. Instead, Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth Stephen Lashley believes the time should be spent on debating ideas and programs from both the DLP and BLP on transforming the island's economy.
I do not think that this is the time for partisan preoccupation with machinations of leadership. I think this is a time, and I always say in Parliament, certainly above the, let us have a discussion. Let us talk about where we are going to position the Barbados economy. And I've heard some useful alternative ideas of late, but we have to debate them.
And Mr. Lashley's comments came during a meeting of the St. Michael East branch of the Democratic Labour Party. Several party members were recognized for their support to that constituency. Mr. Lashley also touched on the Moody's downgrade, saying it came even as the island recorded some improvements. Notwithstanding this, he says the Barbados economy has been faced with a lack of productivity in vital areas. He is suggesting that it's time a national discourse is held on that matter.
The time has come now to look very squarely at the wider economy. The public sector, of course, needs to be more efficient. We continue to face issues such as, are we as responsive as we ought to be within the public sector? The same thing applies to the private sector. We are not doing as well as we should internationally in relation to doing business in Barbados. The ease of doing business is something that we have to be able to improve, and that does not only reflect what is happening in the public sector.
Opposition leader Mia Motley is vowing to move ahead with a no-confidence motion against the government tomorrow in Parliament. She gave the commitment to party supporters gathered for a Barbados Labour Party meeting for some St. Michael constituencies at the George Lamming School in Welches. Ms. Motley insists that the government must be held accountable for what she says is its failure to address serious issues facing the country.
Week by week, we go to Parliament and we discuss all kinds of inane matters. Matters that don't matter to you. Matters that don't solve your problems. Don't allow us to find jobs. Don't allow us to deal with the water issue. Don't allow us to deal with being creative enough to deal with the educational and health issues. Don't allow us to deal with bringing back growth to this economy so people can have jobs and have money in their pockets again.
Accusing the Frundell Stewart administration of governing by stealth, the opposition leader again called for Cahill contracts for the construction of a gasification plant to be made public.
We brought a private member's motion. I brought one since August last year, asking the Prime Minister to produce all 3 contracts. This is now April. Enough time for a woman to born a baby, to get pregnant and born a baby. And the Prime Minister refuses to make these documents public.
Meantime, attorney-at-law Arthur Holder is celebrating his nomination to fly the Barbados Labour Party banner in the St. Michael's Central constituency once again. He defeated contender Hallie Haynes to get the nod by 271 votes to 50 for Mr. Haynes. Mr. Holder says he's confident that he won't lose this time around whenever elections are called to the incumbent Social Care Minister, Steve Blackie.
I am here to send a clear and distinct message to all who believe that they can win a nomination. They got a rude awakening coming. Rude. And I am boasting. I am saying this from my heart, that it will be a landslide. Landslide.
Well, police have made some headway in their investigations into a spate of crop thefts at Edgecombe Plantation and Armagh Farms. 3 people, including a woman, have been arrested and charged and are to face the law courts to answer to a number of charges. They are the Cliff St. John residents Ian Emerson Bennett and Seymour da Costa Innes and Yvette May Butcher of Chapel No. 1, St. Philip. The 2 men have been charged in connection with the theft of sweet potatoes dating back to April last year. Yvette Butcher was arrested on April 8th following the execution of a search warrant at her home, where 178 kilograms of sweet potatoes were found in her possession. She had no certificate of purchase. Bennett, Innes, and Butcher are all expected to appear at the District C Magistrates Court. Well, fresh calls for the church to respond to the assault of crime and violence on the society, and an ex-police officer turned man of the cloth believes exorcism is necessary to fight the negative forces plaguing today's society. Speaking at the Democratic Labour Party's lunchtime lecture, Reverend Dr. Christopher Atherley said he's also convinced that family life in Barbados is under siege. He wants church leaders to help train more young church leaders to step up to the plate as exorcists.
I've just done an exorcist course, right, training some people to help me, because I'm doing this all the time. We are getting old too, and need young people to carry on. This is very much needed work in our society, and in America, in the Catholic Church, they realize that they have to revive the order of exorcists, because in Italy, there are some 38,000 people practicing necromancy and witchcraft and all sorts of things. And these forces, they bring in, a lot of people don't know, but they open the doors for negative forces to come.
Well, motorists are paying a bit more at the pump from today. Effective midnight last night, the retail price of gasoline and diesel increased by 5 cents and 6 cents a litre, respectively. It means that Barbadians are now paying $2.63 per litre for gas, up from $2.58. The new price for diesel is $1.83 a litre, an increase from $1.77. Kerosene also costs 2 cents more, now 83 cents per litre. But Barbadians will be paying less for liquefied petroleum gas or bottled gas. The 100-pound cylinder now costs $150.56, a decrease of $1.34. The price of the 25-pound cylinder has dropped to $42.74, a decrease of 34 cents, while the 22-pound cylinder costs $37.78, 29 cents less. The new price of a 20-pound cylinder is $34.34, which represents 27 cents less. Do stay with us. We'll have regional and international stories right after the break.